Roughly 8 months ago, I decided to convert this VW Crafter into a camper van with no plan, no experience, just TikTok and YouTube guiding me and a fair bit of confidence. And somehow I'm 60% of the way through. As I'm sure you can imagine, I've made plenty of mistakes and the next part of the build probably going to be make or break. So here's everything I've done so far, what I've learned and things I'd do differently. But I think before we get started, it's about right we clean this mess up first. By the way, don't be fooled about tidying the van. What I really mean is chuck it all out. I'd say that's one of the biggest learning points when doing a van. Unless you've got a great big yard, what you're going to find is you're taking stuff in and out of the van on a daily basis. So account for that. So first things first, the van itself. So the reason I've gone with a Volkswagen is I used to have a T5, so I'm a bit loyal to the cause. I want to stay in the dub club to a certain extent. I've got my number plate as well, so just couldn't really get rid of it. That being said, it's a cracking van. It drives like a dream. It's got all the space requirements that I wanted, the high top, the length. But the one thing I would say, pulling cables, not as easy as it seems on a Boxer or Sprinter or something like that. For some reason, there just doesn't really seem to be many routes, which is why I panelled the van out before I started pulling any cables through. Made sense to me, might not make sense to other people. Another point that I'd raise with the Crafter, for some reason on the long wheelbase, it's not as easy to fit in a perpendicular bed. So as you'll see, I've had to install a pod, but then also recess that side of the bed as well. So because I'm just under 6 foot, 5'11" and a half, I had to recess the bed on that side. Otherwise, I'd have to be sleeping on an angle. And when me and the missus are in the van, it's just not going to be feasible. Luckily, she's dead small, so she fits in beautifully across that way. And we've actually put a bed in here to go to bath and it fit like a dream. So let's walk through everything we've done so far. Obviously day one was just a big strip out, the big clean. Now I've been putting all my videos on TikTok and YouTube, but just as reels. So what I'm going to do is overlay them. You're more than welcome to go and look through. I think we're on day 15 now. Well, this will be day 15. So you'll have a good view of everything that's gone on from day one all the way to this 60% point. Windows. It's one of the biggest decisions you'll make. Where they're going to go, how big are they going to be? It's also one of the first things you think about at the start of the build. So possibly the most daunting thing at the very beginning. So I've decided to go with a large window there, 2 smaller windows there and there, and then 2 at the back of the doors. One thing you'll probably notice is the 2 smaller windows on the side of the van is something that not many people do, and I'll explain my reasoning. So, layout. It's easily the thing that you're going to be going back and forth on, constantly changing, and possibly even thinking that you're never going to be happy with it. God knows if I'm going to be. From what I've seen, a lot of people work in this similar fashion and it seems to work for them. So I've gone off other people's recommendations. What I'm going to do is overlay the layout that we're intending on having, whilst also explaining what we've got in here. I've gone for the shower unit just behind the driver's seat. The reason for that is we want to have a bit of segregation from the cab into the back of the van, almost home and van a little bit. As well as that, there will eventually be a full wall separating the space with a bit of a hatch. As you come into the van, we've got kitchen units either side with sink over here, hob over here, the hob nearest to the biggest window so that we can be cooking, have the window wide open, all the steam going out, as well as the fan up here. And then the seating area will be 2 seats looking at each other there beside the bed with a pull-out desk from underneath the bed. Now I'm hoping to be working remotely on some of my travels, so the table will actually work as a multifunctional space for working, cooking, eating, the lot. I've actually bought the slide out runners from TikTok shop, so I'm hoping to install that as soon as this main wall goes up, separating the bed or garage area and the rest of the van. Now, as well as low-level kitchen units, what we're going for is high-level units above the kitchen on this side, which are going to finish at the bed, and as well as that, high-level units along this side, which will go all the way across. Because we're going to be sleeping on this side of the bed, heads over here, want to finish it there so that there's nothing above our heads. It'll just feel a little bit too cramped. But from what I hear and see, you just need as much space and room for storage in the van as you can possibly get, which explains the funky window detail we've got going on here. Wanted some light coming through, but with the overhead units, I was just a bit conscious that a big window wouldn't quite work. So the little opener should do the job nicely. So once the van was clean, windows fitted, what was next? That was sound deadening. easily the most pleasurable job I've done so far because it was a bloody doddle. I used Dodo mat, can't go wrong. The adhesion on the mats is absolutely perfect. As soon as I fitted the mats, I could tell a difference immediately from just the general rattling of the van. When you touch or hit any of the panels, it just completely sounds deadened. Who'd have thought it? A deadening product's actually deadened sound. Question I get a lot is, how have you insulated it? The floor, I've gone a bit of a different method and not one I've seen many people do. I can't lie, I stole the idea of somebody else on TikTok and I thought it was a great idea to save headroom. Effectively, what we've gone for is a thermaliner on the base of the van, which has allowed us to reuse the floor itself, which is in great nick. So not only has it saved money, it's saved head height and I would say a lot of time in not having to batten the van out. Wall and ceiling insulation. What I've gone for is sheep's wool and a thermaliner. Arguably one of the biggest mistakes I've made purely because of the stench. However, I think it'll be great thermally, obviously good for the environment, and as well as that, if any moisture does get into the sheep's wool, it's breathable. So it should evaporate and get it out and not retain the moisture within the wall itself. Now, sheep's wool is a bit more of an expensive method of insulating than using the recycled plastic, but it's the one area that I really didn't want to scrimp on, because poorly insulated vans are not only going to lose a hell of a lot of heat, but also risk retaining moisture and causing the van to rust and die a hell of a lot earlier. So once we was all insulated, I decided to panel out the van. And I've used 12mm ply to do this with plasterboard fixings, flying, so I could not recommend it enough. The reason I've done this earlier than the wiring, as I mentioned earlier in the van, for some reason it's just not easy to pull cable through. I see boxes and crafters where all the cables go through before anyone even decides to put any panelling on the wall. But as well as that, once I've got the panelling on, I can then pull cables through and not have to worry about going through any cables. So it was a double-edged sword really. And for me, definitely the best thing I've done so far. Also, I was just really excited to get some stuff on the walls. I can't believe I've gone this far in the video about introducing you to the mascot. Look at that beauty. Bit of context, when I bought the van, she was stuck up there and I thought, she's got to remain now. The missus don't love it, but part of the van. Ventilation is one of the key considerations when doing a camper. I've read hundreds of blogs and watched hundreds of videos and everybody says you need to properly ventilate the van. So what I've gone for is a fan off Amazon. And do you know what, it's all right. It has a motor for opening and shutting. So even when it's not connected, I can open it up on a day like today, get a bit of air in here and try and expel some of the steep sheep stench. But then also it has remote functionality. So it's got a remote so we can open it from in bed, and all of these buttons here don't really know what they do. One thing that I do like about it is it's got a weather function so that if it senses rain and it's open, it will shut. Clever little thing. It's not quite the max fan, but at the time I was really trying to save money where I could, and this had excellent reviews on Amazon, so I'll put the link in the description. Feel free to use it. No complaints so far. Now, electrics. This is the biggest head scratcher that you'll definitely have. Once you've worked out how you're going to lay the van out, in hindsight you'll think that was an absolute doddle compared to figuring this out. Now, I've rewired 2 houses, and in comparison, this has just blown my mind. So one thing I'm really happy that I did was speak to Vunkt. As Vunkt designed my entire electrical system for me. They gave me a schematic that showed what should connect into what and a installation manual of how each component is actually connected together. So I'd highly recommend them. There's no affiliation with that company because I also spoke to Noma as well, who were fantastic, but Vunkt came in at roughly £800 cheaper. I think I got a deal as well, so it might not be relative. But if you're like me and you're not quite experienced with electrics, then I'd highly recommend using a company like that. A bit of a recurring theme here is I clearly like to do things a bit different. So for my roof rack, I've created a uni-strut system. Now, this was a hell of a lot harder than it looks. Just the hassle of painting it, fixing it together, waterproofing all of the fixing points. Yeah, not straightforward. But I think roughly it saved me 1,300 quid for what I was looking at for a bespoke roof rack system. And it's allowed me to put my great big solar panel on there. And at the very back of the van, we're going to have a deck so that we can be at the bottom of a mountain, on the side of the beach, and have a coffee up on the roof. Don't get much better than that. It's cost me roughly 250 quid for everything, which is all of the fixings to go into the van, connect them all together, and all of the paint to paint the lengths themselves. Now I got the lengths of Unistrut off a friend, so I can't add that into the price. However, I did look online and it would be another roughly 200 quid for the lengths. So all in all, you'd be looking at about 450 quid for the Unistrut roof rack system, which is a hell of a lot better than 1350 quid for a bespoke one off the cheapest one that I've found on eBay. I think sometimes you're looking in excess of 2.5 grand for a fully bespoke roof rack system. What that roof rack will also allow me to do is fit a Fiammo awning all the way down this side here. I'm going to get a universal connector off of Amazon, which will allow me to connect onto the back of the Fiammo. It's obviously not a manufacturer's product, but again, it's going to save a lot of money and it'll be just as effective. So there we have it, roughly 60% of the way through, still plenty to do. In the next video, I'm going to be installing this bad boy, 100 litre water tank. So feel free to subscribe if you want to see that. And if anybody's got any recommendations, please chuck them in the comments. I'm more than happy to hear anything. Like I say, I've not really got a clue what I'm doing. I'm just winging it. So any advice would be more than appreciated. I'll see you on the next.